أعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه وبركاته عليه. أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وأحسن هدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. As we continue in the explanation of Buloogh Al-Maraam by the great illustrious Imam Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, the one who died 852 after the Hijrah of Mustafa alayhi salatu wassalam. And we were وَلَا يَزَالُ الْحَدِيثُ مَوْصُولًا. The topic is still connected with Kitab al-Siyam in preparation for this blessed month of Ramadan in which we're approaching, which is drawing close. بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ جَلَّ وَعَزُّ نَسْأَلُ اللَّهَ يُبَلِّغَنَا وَإِيَّاهُ. We ask Allah Ta'ala to allow us to reach it. طيب, فيا معاشر الإخوة, we continue in the narration. As we stopped at the narration of Yathari Abdullah bin Umar, he says, قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إذا رأيتموه فصوموا وإذا رأيتموه فأفطروا إن فإن غم عليكم فاقدروا له. I heard the message of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم saying, if you see it, then fast. Meaning, if you see the sighting. And if you see it, likewise, then it is a part of stopping your fast. Meaning that's the conclusion of the month of Ramadan. If the affair becomes ambiguous or unclear, if it becomes ambiguous, then count the number of days of 30. We discussed the narrations and we concluded by saying, what everyone, that Ramadan starts by one of two ways, either by the sighting of the moon or completing the 30 days of Sha'ban, and that's it. There is no what they call al-hisab al-falaki. There isn't any astronomical calculations which a lot of people utilize these days instead of preferring the sunnah of Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam and sufficing by that or taking that as something adequate. They go past or surpass the boundaries by now using something that has not been legislated, and they call it al-hisab al-falaki. They call it the astronomical calculations based upon the position of the stars or the moon or what have you. And we said that is an affair that is innovated. It is not a matter that is legislated, rather something that was newly introduced in the religion of Al-Islam, in which it has no place in it whatsoever. So that's the reason why we say, Ya ma'ashal ikhwa, that's the reason why we said that those type of narrations or those type of methods or ways in which people utilize is something that is highly dispraiseworthy, and one should avoid it and not to utilize it at all. Focus, everyone, focus. So we said in regards to the narrations that we discussed, those are the only two ways in which Ramadan starts. Either by the sighting of the moon or counting the 30 days, and that's it. No more, no less. If someone tries to now say, listen, due to the fact that the technology or the means and methods of sighting the moon has progressed, then we should try to utilize the astronomical calculations that some of the people have. And we say that affair is what? Is rejected based upon that as something that was newly introduced into the religion of Al-Islam. We also covered the narrations that everyone looks in their book. Or the Yathari Abdullah bin Abbas. We also covered that narration. And also Abdullah bin Umar. He said, أن أعرابيا جاء إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال إني رأيت الهلال فقال أتشهد أن لا إله إلا الله قال نعم قال أتشهد أن محمد رسول الله قال نعم قال فأذن في الناس يا بلال أن يصوموا غدا. The hadith of Abdullah bin Abbas, he said that a Bedouin came to the Messenger of Allah. He says, indeed I seen the sighting. Indeed I saw the sighting. He says, do you testify that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah? He said, yes. To the end of the narration as we covered from last class, right everyone? طيب. What's the problem? The next narration. I'm sorry, everyone. Don't forget the narration of Abdullah ibn Umar. Rather go back. There's a narration of Abdullah ibn Umar that I skipped by accident. We already covered that though. It says on the authority of Abdullah ibn Umar, it says ترى الناس الهلال فأخبرت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أني رأيته فصام وأمر الناس بصيامه. رواه أبو داود وصححه ابن حبان والحاكم. All these narrations are sound. Some of them are authentic, as we'll discuss inshallah. Are you with me? So the authority and narration of Abdullah ibn Umar, he says that the people ترى الناس الهلال, that the people went to investigate the sighting. So the first part of this narration, Abdullah ibn Umar, if you see it, it says that the people ترى الناس. So it said that the people set out to investigate whether or not the sighting has been actualized, or the people seen the sighting yet. That part of the narration is to show that it's legislated to what everyone, that's incumbent upon a Muslim to investigate. If he knows that the month of Ramadan is drawing close, then he should put forth his best effort in investigating whether or not the month has started. Due to the fact you will find that some of the Muslims who live in the non-Muslim countries, you'll find that some of them are so heedless to the point that the month of Ramadan begins and they don't even know that it started. It'll be the 10th day of Ramadan, they'll say Ramadan started. The 6th day of Ramadan, they'll say Ramadan started. The 14th day of Ramadan started. That is considered ghafla shadida. That's considered a severe case of heedlessness, which is dangerous. To be heedless to the point where you forget of something that's a pillar of your religion. That has to be performed. It's a pillar. So based upon this narration here, if you see it in Abdullah ibn Umar, it said that the people investigated. Tara an-nas. All the people were looking to see whether or not the sighting of the moon has been what? Has manifested or has been actualized. So it says Tara an-nas al-hilal. So that part of the narration is to show that if one knows that the month of Ramadan is close, it's incumbent upon them to what? To set out to investigate, to look, to know whether or not the month has what? Has started. طيب. So it says that Abdullah ibn Umar said, فأخبرت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أني رأيته فصام وأمر الناس بصيامه. So it says that I informed the Messenger of Allah that indeed I saw it. So the Messenger of Allah started his fast and he commanded the people likewise to start their fast based upon the sighting of one individual. We said, Ya ma'ashal ikhwa, the last class, what did we say? There are narrations that are authentic where the Sahaba understood that the Messenger of Allah has said in order for the month of Ramadan to start, that one needs two testimonies from two people. As we said last class, right everyone? We said that was a text that is authentic. There is a text. However, you'll find that the great Imam Ad-Darqutni, rahimahullah, when he said this narration is about how the testimony of two individuals was accepted for starting the month of Ramadan, still does not necessitate what? That those narrations that indicate that the acceptance of one testimony is not what is correct. Rather, that is correct. We said that Imam Ad-Darqutni, and I'll read it right quickly again. I'll just read the last part without reading everything he said. He said, إن التصريح بالاثنين غاية ما فيه المنع من قبول واحد بالمفهوم وحديث عكرمة وحديث ابن عمر يدلان على قبول شهادة الواحد برؤية هلال رمضان بالمنطوق ودلالته أرجح، يعني دلالة المنطوق أرجح كما هو معلوم من قواعد الأصول. The great Imam Ad-Darqutni, rahimahullah. I'll read the last part. After he brought all the texts, meaning just to remind everyone of what we mentioned from last class briefly, so we can continue. This is number one of what has been narrated in Nasa'i. In Nasa'i, you can say Nasa'i or Nasa'i. It's clear. Both of them are correct. Imam Nasa'i, or you can say Nasa'i. As it comes as a sunnah on the author Abdurrahman ibn Zayd ibn al-Khattab أنه خطب في اليوم الذي شك فيه ألا إني جالست أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وسألتهم وإنهم حدثوني أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال صوموا لرؤيته وأفطروا لرؤيته وانسكوا لها فإن غم عليكم فأتموا 30 يوما فإن شهد شاهدان مسلمان فصوموا وأفطروا. That's just one narration that we mentioned. He says on the authority of Abdurrahman ibn Zayd ibn al-Khattab, he says that he was given an exhortation, a reminder to the people in which it was the day of doubt. It was the day of doubt. So basically he was warning them not to fast the day of what? The day of doubt. As we discussed, right everyone? We talked about what was the day of doubt. He says, وَسَأَلْتُهُمْ. So I asked abundance of them, and they told me that the Messenger of Allah said, fast when you see it, and break your fast when you see it, and devote to worship by seeing it. وَانْسِكُوا لَهَا. Devote and worship by seeing it. And if the fair becomes ambiguous, it's not clear, then complete the 30 days. And if 2 witnesses that are upright, Muslim, then they come and bring their testimony or come forth with their testimony to start your fast, and likewise what? Break your fast, meaning conclude the month by seeing, by their testimony. Right, we said that hadith is sahih, right? Listen, so the last part with Imam Ad-Darqutni that he said, rahimahullah, he said, in the tasrih bil ithnain, he says, for verily, the clarification here, by saying that we need 2 witnesses. He said, the most of what we're saying that is prohibited, that a person would think by reading that narration, that it's prohibited to accept the testimony of what? Of 1. He said, despite of 1, would think, bil mafhum, by what the Sahaba understood. Bil mafhum. He said, wa hadith Ikrimah, which is basically the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas and Abdullah ibn Umar. He said, Ikrimah is the isnad for Abdullah ibn Abbas. He's basically brought the isnad. Anyway, the hadith that's in your books right here, the 2 narrations, Abdullah ibn Umar and Abdullah ibn Abbas, he says, Imam Ad-Darqutni indicates the acceptance of the testimony of how many? 1. 1 individual. By one of them seeing, deciding. In Ramadan, bil mantuq. By what was verbalized clearly by the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What was verbalized clearly by the Messenger of Allah. Listen to Imam Ad-Darqutni says, and he says its indication is stronger. He said, based upon the qawa'id, the principles of usul, you'll find that there's a whole book from them. There's Imam al-Sa'idi, alhamdulillah, from them in these days of times, and I have his book, Sheikh Sulaiman Rahili, has a book of qawa'id and usul, or qawa'id of principles that is extracted as far as in the affairs of fiqh. There's principles. From those principles is what I just mentioned now. If you see in the text that in which, in this particular instance, you'll find that is mentioned in what the Sahaba understood, which is called mafhum. Do you have narrations which are mantuq, meaning they are verbalized clearly by the Messenger of Allah? And if you find that the mafhum and the mantuq become equal, he says what takes precedence is the mantuq. That's a principle in fiqh. He says what takes precedence is what they call the mantuq, meaning what was verbalized clearly by the Messenger of Allah. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to him, 1 individual, he was upright, he had precision, he had clear sighting, accuracy in what he's seen as far as in regards to his vision, of course. And you'll find, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, as they say, تقدم دلالة المنطوق على دلالة المفهوم. That the indication of what was verbalized, bil mantuq, takes precedence over what? Dalalatul mafhum. Takes precedence over the indication of what was understood. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So that's what we mentioned last class. So even though those narrations are authentic, but however we said in the qawa'id of usul, as far as in regards to fiqh, those affairs that were dalalatul al-mantuq, the indication of what the Messenger of Allah verbalized clearly takes precedence over what was understood. Is it clear, everyone? Fine. So we said that the strongest opinion is that the month of Ramadan can start by the testimony of 1, but it ends by the testimony of how many? By two. We'll discuss that a little bit later also. Also, you'll find the narrations of Abdullah bin Umar and Abdullah bin Abbas is from those narrations to clearly show that the acceptance of one, or the news, or the narration of one person has its place in our religion. And it is from those affairs in which you'll find that a lot of people of deviance have caused a lot of confusion in. And you'll find that the great A'imma from the past, and also from the time of Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah and Ibn al-Qayyim, established the hujjah, the argument and proof of the acceptance of one testimony based on the likes of these narrations we just read. Where the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam laid down an affair that is tremendous. Starting the month of Ramadan is considered a pillar of our religion. So the fact of a pillar of our religion started based upon the testimony of one narration or one person delivering that news is something that has its place in the religion of Islam. If all the conditions and the prerequisites of his testimony being accepted are there, of him having precision, and him having dabt, and him understanding, and him in his senses are clear, especially in this regard of him seeing it, his sight is strong, he has precision, he knows what he's looking, he has the proper credentials, he has the expertise. All those things have been fulfilled. Then as a result of it, as we've seen, the Messenger of Allah accepted his testimony. It was enough. And he did not surpass where I said, no, let's get 3. No, be on the safe side, let's get 5. No, let's get on the safe side, let's be 6, 7, 8. That is the ideologies of the Mu'tazila and the Asha'ira of today. That's what they say. They say, no, not 1 is not enough. We need 3. It has to be 5. It has to be 8. It has to be mutawatir. That's the meaning of tawatur. Meaning it has to be an abundance of narrators so they can remove the doubt. That is the type of ambiguities that they came with in order to cause confusion in the usul of Ahl Sunnah and the Aqidah. Because some of the narrations you'll find, it was in regards to the foundations of this religion, came by one narrator, by one sahabi. And they say that's not enough. It has to be more. It has to be 5. It has to be 10. It has to be 20. It has to be 30. And here the Messenger of Allah accepted the narration of one sahabi to start a pillar of our religion, which is the month of Ramadan. And the Messenger of Allah found that adequate. And he did not say, no, just be on the safe side, because this is Ramadan, this is serious. We need to have about 4, we need to have 6, we need to have 8. No, that's subjected to doubt. One narration, just be on the safe side, let's get an extra 2 or 3 or 4. The Messenger of Allah say that? La. Suffice by what? 1. So that's the reason why we said, and I'm stressing the importance of this matter. There is a lot of Muslims out there that say the affair of acceptance of one narrator does not have its place. Does not have its place at all. Take that notion or that type of corruptive ideology, throw it in the garbage. Trust me, I know what they're trying to do. They're agreeing with the affairs and the ideologies of the Mu'tazila and the Asha'ira of today to cause doubt in the Khabr al-Wahid, in order to cause, for you to accept the principle that to say, okay, if that's now subjected to doubt, so now let's go to the narrations in regards to the usul, or the foundations of the religion, and you'll find there are narrations by one sahabi. So that means that based upon their principles, of those who deviated, that those narrations we do not accept it, rather we are reluctant to accept them. Based upon the fact that what? That one narrator is not enough for us. And if you find that certain narrations in regards to Allah and His names and His attributes, or certain affairs pertaining to the unseen, were all delivered, some of the narrations were delivered by one sahabi. And for that reason, we say, the qa'idah of Ahl Sunnah, what we're concerned with is what, everyone? Is whether or not the narration has been affirmed in all the conditions of sihha, of authenticity, has been fulfilled. That's it. That's the only thing that we're concerned with. Whether or not the chain is authentic, all the conditions of authenticity, or it being sound, meaning Hasan, are there. That's it. Whether or not it was conveyed by one companion or not, that is not from the aqeedah of Ahl Sunnah. Is it clear what I'm saying? Whether or not the narration is from one, or the narration is mutawatir. Whether or not it's mutawatir, Mutawatir means just an abundance of narrators, meaning 5, 10, 20, 30, 40. That's what tawatur means. They do not look at that. No. In order for us to accept it has to be mutawatir. And it can't just be narrated by one. Those type of notions and those type of ideologies are rejected. The only thing that Ahlul Sunnah looks at, like we said, is whether or not the narration is thabit, whether or not it's been affirmed, meaning all the prerequisites and conditions of authenticity has been fulfilled. No more, no less. We do not look at whether or not it's from the prerequisites for us to accept a narration of the Messenger of Allah or the affairs that's considered the foundations, that it has to be mutawatir. It cannot be from the aspect of what they call khabr al-wahid or what they call khabr al-ahad, meaning it's from the news of one narrator. We don't accept it. That's the reason why, like we said, that Ibn al-Qayyim, when he was refuting these type of ideologies, he utilized these type of narrations here. Abdullah bin Umar, Abdullah bin Abbas, and other than that. And also the narration in which I informed everyone of in the previous class, which is what happened to the Sahaba when they were praying in Masjid Bani Salama, or in the Masjid what they call today Masjid al-Qiblatayn, the Masjid of the two Qiblas, of the two directions. What we talked about when the authority of Ubay ibn Ka'b, when he came to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu the Messenger of Allah, it was revealed to him, قَدْ نَرَى تَقَلُّبَ وَجْهِكَ فِي السَّمَاءِ فَلَنُوَلِّيَنَّ قِبْلَةً تَرْضَاهَا فَوَلِّ وَجْهَكَ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. The ayah where Allah Ta'ala reveals Surah Al-Baqarah, He says, قَدْ نَرَى تَقَلُّبَ وَجْهِكَ فِي السَّمَاءِ فَلَنُوَلِّيَنَّ قِبْلَةً تَرْضَاهَا فَوَلِّ وَجْهَكَ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. The ayah where Allah Ta'ala says, we see that your reluctancy, you flipping from one direction to the other. For verily will now turn you to a direction you will be pleased with. So turn your direction to Masjid al-Haram, which is in Mecca, which is the Kaaba. Anyway, so when the Sahabi heard it, as we talked about before, the Messenger of Allah sent one individual for them to turn in the direction of the Kaaba after they were facing Bayt al-Maqdis, which is in Palestine, while they were in Salah. And he came and he informed me, announced, he says, verily the Qibla has been changed. And he announced it while they were praying. He called out, and as a result of it, they all turned to face the what? The Kaaba. And how many people came and informed? Was it 5? Was it 10? Was it 20? One narrator, one person delivered the message. That was adequate. They didn't say, well, a affair like that, you got to realize you might need 3 people to go deliver that to the Sahaba, especially if they're praying. You need to take with you about 5 more people just to be on the safe side. La. The Messenger of Allah sent one individual. They found him reliable and trustworthy and accurate in what he was saying. And as a result of it, they changed their what? Their Qibla. That was another narration you'll find that they utilize, that Ahlul Sunnah, the people of the truth, say that the acceptance of the narration of one has its place. It has its place, and based upon the ayat, which is also in Surah Al-Hujurat, where Allah Ta'ala says in His book, I think it's the 6th ayat, either the 6th or 7th ayat, where Allah Ta'ala says in His book, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِنْ جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا أَن تُصِيبُوا قَوْمًا بِجَهَالَةٍ فَتُصْبِحُوا عَلَى مَا فَعِلْتُمْ نَادِمِينَ. وفي قراءة يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتثبتوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. Oh, you who believe, if some fasiq, if a person who's a sinner comes to you with some news, then verify it. You'll find that they say, as in the narration or the other recitation, is Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu in ja'akum fasiqun binaba'in fatathabbatu. There's 2 recitations of the ayah. One in Surah Al-Hujurat, oh, you believe, if a person of evil comes with you with some news, then verify it. There's another recitation of the ayah. Oh, you believe, if a fasiq comes to you with some news, fatathabbatu. He says, then be sure. Be sure. Tathabbatu, yani ta'akkadu. Be sure it's correct. Meaning verify. Like, we know from the usul, for the person who knows the science of the Quran, you have the opposite, of which you can take in certain ayat from the opposite of its meaning. Meaning, if a person that is trustworthy and reliable comes with you with some news, who's upright, and he's accurate, and he's a person that's known for reliability and what he's conveying, you do not have to verify his narration. You understand? إن جاءكم دين أو ثقة بنبأ فلا يلزمك التبين والتثبت. But it does not necessitate that you have to now verify it if, like we said, if he's reliable and he is sharp, he is accurate, and he knows what he is saying. Based upon that ayat, that's what the message of Allah ﷺ applied here, right, everyone? Where he accepted the news or the narration of what? One individual, confirming what was mentioned in the ayat, which is in Surah what? Al-Hujurat. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? طيب. You'll find that even the great Imam, Shaykh Salih Fawzan, even mentions exactly what we're mentioning here. He says, وَلَا يُشْتَرَطُ أَن يَرَاهُ الْجَمِيعِ بل إذا رآه واحد من المسلمين كفى وثبت الصوم. فابن عمر رضي الله عنهما يقول إذا ترى الناس الهلال أي طلبوا رؤيته وتحروا رؤيته وصاروا ينظرون في الأفق وهذا فيه مشروعية تحري الهلال لأن هذا فيه تعاونا على البر والتقوى to the end of it. He says when the Bedouin came, and the Bedouin came informing that he what? He came with seeing the sighting of the moon. He said that he's cool, he's good. One of the Muslims had come, and it's not a prerequisite that all of the people have to see the sighting. It's not a prerequisite. If one of the Muslims see it, that would suffice. Keep in mind the rest of the details that we said last class, everyone. Keep in mind what we said. We said that those who go out to investigate the hilal, they are people of expertise. They're people who are experts. They have khibrah. They have experience. They have qualifications. They also have expertise. They know what they're looking for. They're people, ashab, what they call al-hidq, al-dabt. They're people of precision, people of expertise, people of experience. Then also, keep in mind that a person, I'll go get my book. I'll get it right now. Also, after that, they will inform the Muslim ruler. And we know there isn't any Muslim ruler here. There isn't any Muslim ruler here. You'll find that even Ahl al-Ilm, and I'm going to read quickly what Ibn Uthaymeen mentioned in this regard after I finish. He said, of course, he says in those Muslim countries, if they have what they call al-jihad al-mukhtassa, those type of Muslim sources that are specialized in this matter, then maybe they could go see the sighting. They can investigate it. He says, if not, because we don't have any Muslim resources here that are what? Reliable. So that in case, that's not applicable for what the Shaykh mentioned because we don't have it here. He said, if that's not the case, then you would rely on the vision or the sighting of another country in which we know that they are very accurate and they are very what? Precise. When it comes to the sighting, they know what they're doing. That's the reason why we rely on the sighting of Saudiya every year, which makes it facilitated and easy for everyone. And I'm going to bring the actual speech in a minute, inshallah. طيب. So if you look in your books, the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas and Abdullah ibn Umar, it says that the people what? All of them went to go investigate. And we said that was the benefit to show that once Ramadan draws near, then the people should do their best to investigate whether or not the month has started. Then he goes on to say, if one of the Muslims see it, it suffices. The fasting has been what? Established, meaning it's time to start it. If the people go out, they investigate, and they start looking to the horizon, this is also legislation for what? For people to go set out to investigate, and this is considered cooperating upon birr and taqwa. So that's the reason why we say that the people in these days, especially if the month of Ramadan is drawing close, the people don't say, oh, let's go in the house. Someone else will see it. We'll know, inshallah. Don't worry. It'll come on our phones. Rather, the people should do their best to make sure that the month has been established and that it commences and it's time to start the actual month. And the people should not be real reluctant or be lazy in this regard, especially once the month has concluded, especially the month of Sha'ban. Then the people should go out and now try to investigate to the best of their ability. طيب. Also you'll find in the hadith, and Abdullah ibn Umar, if you find everyone, what does it say? It says that the Messenger of Allah said, do you testify that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah and that Muhammad is the Messenger of Allah? The man sufficed by just saying na'am. So the Messenger of Allah did not burden them by saying, take the shahada. He said, you testify? You testify that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah and that Muhammad is the Messenger of Allah? He say yes. The other narration, if you look in your book, what does it say? He says he called Bilal and announced to the people that they're going to inaugurate their fast tomorrow. So that's to show what, everyone? That also, once the Muslim ruler has the news, then it's obligatory for the ruler, or the one who's the ruler of the country, the ruler of the whole country, that he announced it to the people that the month of Ramadan will start. And it can be done by numerous ways. It could be done verbally. It could be announced by radio. It could be announced, of course, by all the different methods that allow the people to be notified as soon as possible. And I think that's easy in these days and times. It's facilitated. Whether it be on the phones, or whether it be on the radio, or whether it be by a cannon. And to this day, you'll find that Ibn Saudiya that they utilize what they call midfa', which is a cannon. They utilize it and they'll strike the cannon. The sound of it will be loud, which is to show that what? The month of Ramadan has started. But here in this narration, it shows what, everyone? That the Muslim ruler would now announce it to the people that the month has started. If it start your fast the very next day. And he utilizes any method he can to make sure that the people are notified. And that the people are upon knowledge that the month of Ramadan, which this ibadah will now commence, that it will start the following day. So that is from the salahiyat, or the responsibility, or the mas'uliyat of the Muslim ruler. And like we talked about last class, there isn't a Muslim ruler here. There isn't a Muslim ruler here. There's no khilafah and there's no imara. There's no khalifa here and there's no emir here. And there's only two emirs in Islam. The emir for safar wa emir lil muslimin. There's only two imarat in Islam. The one who's traveling and the one who is the emir of the Muslims in the Muslim country or in the land that they're in. No more, no less. There's no emir for a masjid or emir for a community or emir for a particular what? A particular area in Philadelphia, New York, or whatever it is. There's only two imarat. That's it. The emir for travel and the emir for what? For the what? For the land, meaning the rule over the country. That's it. If you try now, you'll find that a lot of the Ikhwanis will say now you have to refer your affairs back to the emir. Who's the emir? You understand? Especially those from the deviant sects or upon Ikhwaniyah, or you'll find that a lot of them that they do this. A lot of them. Still to this day they do this. They'll give a pledge and allegiance to someone who they what? I guess their own people put him up to be the emir. Who made him the emir? Who the people are? People of knowledge. The people of uprightness. People of sound aqidah. Who's the people of what they call Ahl al-Hal wal-Aqd? Ahl al-Hal wal-Aqd are the people that what? Nominate the emir. People of knowledge, the people of uprightness, people of sound belief. That's not here in order for a leader or a emir or a person that's a ruler over the Muslims to what? To take charge. Also, you cannot do that in a country and land that already has its own jurisdiction. That will also cause the Muslims to be in a very what? Dangerous state. Because it will subject trouble from the non-Muslims to come down and shut the whole program down. You'll find yourself in jail quick as you can blink your eye. So that's the reason why we said that all these affairs are innovated. And for those Muslims who now call it as nonsense, then you need to get away from them. Because it's nothing but trouble. It causes confusion. But at any rate, if we were in a Muslim country, this is how the affair would be what? Conducted. In this manner in which the emir, once he's been informed by someone reliable, he has expertise or he's an expert, he has precision, he knows what he's seeing, he informs the ruler will announce it until all the people are notified, either, like we said, but in these days of times by phones, or either back in the old days, by telegrams, or when alhamdulillah, and this still they use a lot, they utilize the same method to this day. Sometimes they use the cannon, which is in Saudiya. They use what they call a midfa' or madafi', which is a cannon. That once the month of Ramadan, they allow the cannon to be shot and fired so people can hear it, which is like an old custom they want to keep just for what they say for heritage. That's it. But at any rate, these are the different ways to show what everyone that the month of Ramadan started by this way. طيب. So the next narration, if we go, matter of fact, I wanted to read quickly what Sheriff made. I forgot my book. Excuse me, I gotta get it. طيب. So this is what I wanted to read today. This is where we stopped at. It says the citing, he says, تختلف مطالعه بين أرض وأخرى. These are the evidences and proofs I wanted to read. But I already gave everyone the he's all right? You okay? I gave everyone the summary, or they call the khulasa. I gave everyone the summary in this masala or this particular matter, but I wanted to read the details now. As far as deciding what I said last class, I said to everyone, and I gave this to everyone, I think some of the people wrote it down. He says, in regards to now, let's just say for the Muslims who are in the non-Muslim lands, in non-Muslim lands, في بعض بلاد الكفار التي ليس بها رؤية شرعية. He says, وأما الشق الثاني من السؤال. Let me read this quickly. He said, وهو كيف يصوم المسلمون في بعض بلاد الكفار التي ليس فيها رؤية شرعية. He said, فإن هؤلاء يمكنهم أن يثبتوا الهلال عن طريق شرعي وذلك بأن يتراءوا الهلال إذا أمكنهم ذلك. فإن لم يمكنهم هذا فإن قلنا بالقول الأول في هذه المسألة فإنه متى ثبتت رؤية الهلال في بلد إسلامي فإنهم يعملون بمقتضى هذه الرؤية سواء رأوه أو لم يروه. وإن قلنا بالقول الثاني وهو اعتبار كل بلد بنفسه إذا كان يخالف البلد الآخر في مطالع الهلال ولم يتمكنوا من تحقيق الرؤية في البلد الذي هم فيه فإنهم يعتبرون أقرب البلاد الإسلامية إليهم لأن هذا أعلى ما يمكنهم العمل به. طيب. We said, what about the Muslims are now? They have to start their fast in the non-Muslim countries. And they do not have a legislated sighting. He says, for able for those people to affirm the sighting by a legislated manner, or legislated method. And that is by the people themselves try to see the sighting, if they're able to. And if they're not able, then he says, if we say by the first statement, in this particular matter we're discussing now, for verily, if the sighting of the moon has been established, of course, in an Islamic country, for verily, in that case, then they work by or in accordance with that sighting. They work in accordance with that sighting. Doesn't matter whether they seen it, meaning the Muslims in a non-Muslim country, whether they seen it or they did not see it. Is it clear what I'm saying? طيب. And that is from what we just mentioned here. So now I'm going to bring a little bit more. That's the concise answer right there. Bang. Now I'm going to give everybody a little bit of details. So just hold on to that answer. طيب. So just to summarize everything, because I want to give a little bit of details. Start with the summary, then I'll start to branch off and give the details. First thing in regards to the statement, you'll find that Ahl Ilm say, number one, the first statement is that the sighting of one country suffices everyone. The sighting for one country suffices everyone. Meaning that all the Muslim lands would fast based upon the sighting of that particular what? Country that saw it first. That's the first statement. In which we said, that statement is what? Statement is not correct based upon certain evidences, even though some of Ahl-Ilm do mention it. طيب, so that's the first statement, number one. Number two, that the month of Ramadan starts, of course, by the sighting, and every sighting is different based upon the zone that they're in. باختلاف المطالع, as they say. الاختلاف في المطالع, based upon the zone that they're in. The zone, the particular area they're in. The third is based upon the ruler. The ruler now binding it upon everyone to start it. And they'll have to obey the ruler. That's the three statements in summary. Then I'm going to give the details. What did you say? Number 2 is that everyone start their fast, of course. The deciding is based upon the zone. The zone that one is in. And that every zone, based upon, for example, if 3 lands are in that same zone, then they all, if one of them see the sighting in that particular zone, that they all have to utilize their sighting, based upon that specific vicinity or area or zone they're in. Don't worry, I'll explain it, inshallah. The looter, the ruler, he binds it upon everyone that's fast. طيب. You'll find that, Ibn Uthaymeen, he does mention this, because I'm going to bring some of the arguments that people say, see, the ulama say this, we know it's there. But that's not in regards to our circumstance and our stay here, because we live in a non-Muslim country. Understand everyone? طيب. So at any rate, if we were in a non-Muslim country, if we were in a Muslim country, this is how the affair will be, this is how it will be administrated. Listen. الهلال تختلف مطالعه بين أرض وأخرى في رمضان. Just reading in English. He said the sighting is different according to the zone from one land to the other in Ramadan and other than that. He says, and the ruling is one for everyone. He said, however, I see. He said that the people agree on one thing. What is what? He said, وأن يتبعوا ما يقوله أمير الجالية الإسلامية في بلاد غير المسلمين. He says now they agree on one thing. And he's talking about that the Islamic, he says of the foundations or what have you. He says he's discussing now the non-Muslim countries. Listen, the non-Muslim countries. He says if they're in the non-Muslim countries, he says then the affair is a little bit more lenient, they're a little bit more vast. Inshallah. He says some of Ahl al-Ilm say that once the sighting has been established in a Muslim country, and it doesn't matter what other country he's in or land he's in, it necessitates it as a binding upon all the Muslims. That's all what I just mentioned in the first statement. And that all of the Islamic countries have to now start their fast based upon that one sighting. That's just one answer. And that agrees with the first thing we just mentioned. So listen, I'm going to read the other answer too. It says, سئل فضيلة الشيخ عن الهلال وهل يمكن توحيده وبحيث إذا رؤي في بلد ووجب على جميع المسلمين الصوم في هلال رمضان والفطر في هلال شوال. طيب. This matter, he says, the matter of the sighting, he said, it is different amongst Ahl al-Ilm. From them who say that once the sighting has been established in a specific place and in a legislated manner, then it is binding upon all the Muslims to fast based upon that one sighting. So that's what? Which statement is that? Number 1. Jayyid. So keep that in mind. So this is the reason why I put everything in order. Summarize everything for you guys. I gave you the summary, now I give you the detail. Jayyid. طيب. He said, from them who see that, he says, and that is the mashhur, and that statement meaning this first statement, he said, that which is known in the madhab al-Imam Ahmad, rahimahullah. He said, فَعَلَى هَذَا إِذَا رُؤِيَ فِي الْمَمْلَكَةِ الْعَرَبِيَّةِ السَّعُودِيَّةِ. It is seen, the sighting in the Islamic, or the Saudi Arabian kingdom, for example, it is obligatory upon the Muslims in all the other countries to utilize their sighting, to start the fast in the month of Ramadan, and likewise to stop it, meaning conclude the month of Ramadan by the month of Shawwal starting. And they use the evidence to establish this by the generality, which comes in the ayah where Allah Ta'ala says in his book, whoever from amongst you has witnesses the month, then let him start his fast. And also the hadith of what we just covered, it says if you see it, then start your fast, and if you do not, and if you see it, likewise, then stop. طيب. So that's number 1. We haven't gone out number 1 yet. طيب. Now he mentions in another one. ومن العلماء إنه لا يجب الصوم في هلال رمضان ولا الفطر في هلال شوال إلا لمن رأى الهلال أو كان موافقا لمن رآه في مطالع الهلال لأن مطالع الهلال تختلف باتفاق أهل المعرفة بذلك فإذا اختلفت وجب أن يحكم لكل بلد برؤيته والبلاد الأخرى إن وافقته في مطالع الهلال فهي تبع له وإلا فلا وهذا القول اختيار شيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية رحمه الله واستدل لهذا القول بقوله تعالى فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم. Did somebody call the adhan yet? Is it coming yet? Oh, it just came in. Someone, who wants to go? You want to call it? You want to call it Jumma? You want to call it me? Oh. Oh, he's not out here. The other Amir? No, he's not here. Oh, what happened? Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. Shahada la ilaha illallah. Mumtaz. حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمود الوسيلة الفضيلة وبعث المقام محمود الذي وعده. ممتاز. Jade. So that's the first statement that we mentioned. So they say that one ru'ya, or one sighting, is binding upon all the Muslims to utilize that one sighting. So one person, one country sees it, or one person sees it, then it's all obligatory for all of them to what? To utilize this sighting. Like the second statement, I'm going to read it quickly. From the ulama who mentioned, say that it's not obligatory for the sighting of Ramadan, nor for stopping it, meaning concluding the month of Ramadan in the month of Shawwal, or the month of Shawwal started. He said, except for the one who sees the hilal, who sees the sighting. Or they agree for the one who's seen it as far as the zone or the zones of the sighting, meaning in the specific or the vicinity that they're in, everyone's zone is different according to their own space or vicinity that they occupy. He says everyone knows, they have knowledge that every vicinity and every zone are all different. He says just like, for example, the salawat and the times for it. He said, for verily, if they're different, then it's obligatory that each one of them be given a ruling that they each individually have their own sighting. He said, وَالْبِلَادُ الْأُخْرَى إِنْ وَافَقَتْهُ فِي مَطَالِعِ الْهِلَالِ فَيَتَبَعُ لَهُ. He says, as far as the other countries or the other lands, he says, if they agree, of course, he says, and they're in the same zone, of course, for the sighting, then they follow behind that same what? That same zone or that same vicinity. And if they are in someone totally, or some place that's remote or far distance, that's totally far away from that zone, and they're in a totally other one, a total different one, then, like we said, then they do not follow behind their sighting. He says, and this is the statement of Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, and he uses as an evidence the statement of Allah Ta'ala, where he says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book, whoever from amongst you witnesses the month, then let him start his fast. So they use the same dalil that the Imam Ahmad uses, or the madhab al-Imam Ahmad, or those who have serviced the madhab al-Imam Ahmad. So when you'll find that Shaykh al-Islam likewise used the similar evidences to establish this fact that we mentioned. So he utilizes as an evidence for the one who sees that once he sees the moon or the sighting, of course, it is obligatory for him to start the fast. And everyone, based upon the vicinity or the zone that they're in, each one are going to see something probably different. And he brings the evidence for that from the Salaf. As we know that Qurayb, excuse me, here it is. The narration of Kurayb, Kaf, Ra, Ya, Ba. Kurayb ibn Abi Muslim al-Hashimi. His name is Kurayb ibn Abi Muslim al-Hashimi. That al-Fadl sent him to Muawiyah. As we know, Muawiyah was where, everyone? Muawiyah became a Khalifa. He was a Khalifa in Sham. Right? That's when, I was getting the story what happened. But anyway, we know that what happened with Ali and Muawiyah. Muawiyah was in Sham. And we know that Abdullah ibn Abbas and Medina were in, of course we know, in Hijaz. Hijaz is the area which is presently and currently known as Mecca, Medina, and all those other areas. That's called Hijaz. Sham is what? Where Iraq is, Syria is, Palestine, Jordan, you name it. Muawiyah became the Khalifa in the area of Sham. Kurayb was sent to Muawiyah. So it says in the narration, فَقَدِمْتُ الشَّامِ فَقَضَيْتُ حَاجَتَهَا. Yani al-Fadl sent him on a mission to go to Muawiyah in order to what? To carry out a need she had, to take care of her need. He said, وَاسْتَهَلَ عَلَيَّ Ramadan. Ramadan started, and I was in Sham. He says, and I seen the sighting on the night of Jumu'ah. The night of Jumu'ah. Seeing the sighting on the night of Jumu'ah. When I came to Medina, he says, of course, in the last month, I asked Abdullah ibn Abbas. And then he mentioned the sighting. He says, when did you see the sighting? He said, we seen it on Jumu'ah. When I was with who? When I was with Muawiyah in Sham. He says, you seen it? He says, yes. He said, وَرَآهُ النَّاسِ وَصَامُوا. The people who was in the area where Muawiyah was in, they seen it and they started. He says, however, we did not start our fast until when? Until Saturday. We did not start the month of Ramadan until when? Saturday. He said, فَلَا نَزَالُ نُصُومْ حَتَّى نُكْمِلَ 30 أو نَرَى. فقلت ألا تكتفي برؤية معاوية وصيامه؟ فقال لا هكذا أمرنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. So he said, then we will continue to fast until we complete 30 or we see the moon. As Abdullah ibn Abbas said to Kurayb. He said, don't you not suffice? Will you not find adequate the sighting of Muawiyah and when he started his fast? He said, no. Like this, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded us. Like this, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded us. So it's to show what, everyone? This is to show the evidence is a proof for what? Which statement? The second one. So that's the position of Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah. That's the position of a lot of Ahl Ilm. And what we mentioned based upon this narration here. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? For the second statement. For the second. We're almost finished. Based upon the zone. Ahsan. For the different vicinity is in, that each land has its own. Of course, has its own sighting. Each land or each country, based upon the zone that they're in, each individual one has its own what? Sighting. Is this applicable for us here? No. Why do we say that? Because we're in a non-Muslim country. We're fi bilad al-kuffar, we're in a non-Muslim country. And there's no what? People with expertise, experience. No ruler. There's no ruler either. There isn't any ruler. There isn't anyone with expertise. There is no jihad Islamiyya mukhtassa. There's no one from those Islamic legislative reliable sources that are experts in this matter. So that's the reason why, like we said, we rely on the what? The sighting of another country, which we know for sure that is adequate for us, which is the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Is it clear, everyone? So that's the reason why I wanted to bring the details. So listen, I'm going to keep reading it because we're almost finished in this matter. He says, وَعَلَيْهِ إِذَا اخْتَلَفَتِ الْمَطَالِعُ. This is Ibn Uthaymin mentioned this. إِذَا اخْتَلَفَتِ الْمَطَالِعُ فإن البلاد المخالفة لبلاد الرؤيا لا يكون قد شوهد فيها الهلال ولا رؤي وحينئذ لا تثبت أحكام الهلال في حقهم وهذا ولا شك وجه قوي في الاستدلال وأقوى من الأول ويؤيده النظر والقياس فإنه إذا كان الشارع قد علق الإمساك للصائم بطلوع الفجر والفطر بغروب الشمس فقال تعالى وكلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر ثم أتموا الصيام إلى الليل فالشارع علق الحكم بتبين طلوع الفجر إمساكا. To the end of it, we just mentioned that. So it says here now, upon this what we're mentioning, this second statement, he said the zones are different. For various countries that oppose or in opposition to the countries of the other sightings, he says, we'll say that those countries, of course, did not see the sighting yet in regards to one that might have seen it. Is it clear what I'm saying so far? طيب. He says, وَلَا يَكُنْ قَدْ شُوهِدَ فِيهِ الْهِلَالُ وَلَا رُؤِي. He said, for that reason, if that's not the case, just because one started, does not necessitate that now in that other zone, that other places. He says, if they have not seen it yet, then the ahkam, or the rulings in regards to the sighting of the moon, meaning the inauguration for the month of Ramadan, has not been established in regards to them yet. Jayid? He said, for that reason, there's no doubt. Now listen to Ibn Uthaymeen says, هذا وجه قوي في الاستدلال. This is a strong point in utilizing this as evidence. Jayid? He says, and what is strong, and this is stronger than the first statement. This is stronger than the first statement. He's memorizing. This is stronger than the first statement. He says, and also what was seen and what the people utilizes as a qiyas, and what they also utilize as an analogy, also was what is correct. For verily kitab and sunnah and the hukm of Allah Ta'ala and the message of Allah has now established that the inauguration of Ramadan and all of its rulings starts, that the people start their fast based upon what is citing of whether or not the moon of Ramadan first starts, and it's also concluded by the sun going down, of course, daily. Based upon the ayah, what we just mentioned, which is also comes in the Quran, eat and drink until the white thread becomes clear from the what? Black thread of the time of Fajr. Then complete your siyam to the following what? To the following what? Evening. For Shari', you'll find that Allah Ta'ala base everything based upon just the vision. That's it. No more, no less. Of what the people see. Of what the people see is deciding with their eyes, of course. Based upon that, all the ahkam has been what? All the ahkam comes into play, and it's obligatory for the people now to practice it only based upon the vision. He's just saying this just to say that the second statement is what is strong. That's all he's saying. And he said that also bringing that evidence, which we'll mention later, where the Messenger of Allah said, if the night comes from here, and he's pointing to the what? The Messenger of Allah at that time was pointing to the east. He says, and then when the day comes up from here, and he was pointing to the west, he says, and the sun has set, then the person now, it's time for him to break his fast. So basically he's mentioning these evidences just to make everything easy. He's saying that these evidences are mentioned based upon just the vision of what the people see. So the people who are in that particular zone, when they see that sighting, then they can start their fast, even though the other country in the other zone did not see it yet. Is it clear? طيب. The third statement, he says, أَنَّ النَّاسِ يَتَّبِعُونَ إِمَامَهُمْ. That the people follow their imam. What's the meaning of imam here? Imam of Ar-Razzaaq, the ruler. The ruler of the country. Not the imam of the masjid. He said that the people follow their imam. So that's the what? It's the ruler. Which statement is that? Number 3. يَتَّبِعُونَ إِمَامَهُمْ فإذا قرر الإمام وهو ذو السلطة العليا في البلد دخول الهلال وكان ذلك بمقتضى الأدلة الشرعية وجب العمل بمقتضى ذلك الصوم في رمضان. Just read it quickly. He said that the people follow their imam, meaning the ruler. If the ruler now has established, and he's the one that possesses the power, of course, the high power, the one who's the country and the ruler of the country, for that the month of Ramadan has now started. He says, and that's in accordance with the Islamic evidences and proof from Kitab and Sunnah. It's obligatory upon the people to work in accordance to that, and to start their fast for the month of Ramadan, and to also conclude the month by stopping due to the month of Shawwal. And it has not been established, now let's just listen to this part. If it has not been established, it's not been settled, meaning فَإِنَّهُ لَا صَوْمَ وَلَا فِطْرٍ, meaning he might have binded it upon the people, but Islamically, by the evidences approved by the vision of the sun or the moon, has not been, or the moon has not been sighted yet, truly. What does a person do now? He says, not by fasting or breaking a fast. He says, we know the narration of the message of Allah, the fitr of the people breaking it is the day when the people break it. And we know Al-Adha yawma yudahi nas. The narration also says, and the day of slaughtering is the day when the people slaughter. He said, we know this is what? Correct. However, now listen. He said, if this is correct, of course we know. Now the ruler binds it upon you to fast. And that the month of Ramadan is obligatory upon everyone to do it now. Even though the people know truly for sure that it has not what? Started yet. What do? They still follow the ruler? Huh. جيد. Just listen. وعلى هذا فنقول السائل الأولى أن لا تظهر مخالفة الناس. فإذا كنت ترى, now this is of something that even has a beneficial as far as in belief. Because we know from the usul of i'tiqad of Ahl Sunnah is that we don't obey the ruler in regards to disobeying Allah and His Messenger. However, does it now necessitate that you openly display your opposition to the ruler, even though you work in contrast to what he's saying? Jade. That's all I wanted to hear. Still show what? Respect. And if he disobeyed him, he would not. It does not necessitate that he has to now broadcast it, manifest it, make it known. You didn't see the hilal, I'm not fasting nothing. Because we know our ignorant people do that here. They like to, especially we know that we've been brought up upon being ignorant and being rebellious and being defiant. You know, that's in our blood. That's how we was raised here. Just be defiant. Right? Fine. However, Islam has come even though that one knows for sure that the sighting has not been what? As a matter of fact, I'm going to just read quickly what Ibn Uthaymeen mentions. Listen to what he says. He says, what's more befitting is that you do not display opposing the people, even though he's binding upon them. Listen, if you see, for example, that he made binding that the people fast, of course, he says, and of course, he said, based upon the first statement, if it's been established that the sighting has been what? Actualized, and the people know it, of course, then of course a person will what? Fast. He said, however, if it's not been established, that a person has not seen the moon or the sighting has not been established, he says, in yourself, you do not have to fast, but it does not necessitate that you have to broadcast and openly display opposition to the ruler. Jayid? Exactly. It doesn't. We could probably go into your house and eat. But you don't have to now go on the street. Nah, I got to listen to that ruler. Who is he? You're walking around with a piece of chicken in your hand. You understand? You're walking around to show open opposition to the what? For your discontentment for the ruler. Is it clear? So, you know, Ahl Sunnah, even though the person does not obey him or in disobedience to Allah and His Messenger, but however, it does not now necessitate that he has to what? Verbalize it and broadcast it and manifest it to everyone, his discontentment. Is it clear? So he doesn't have to fast if the sighting has not been established, but at the same time, it does not now show that he has to what? Openly display disrespect and his discontentment for the ruler. Is it clear, everyone? So those are the three statements that I wanted to mention. We said that these three statements, of course, based upon what we mentioned, is not for us, based upon the fact that we are in a non-Muslim country. And based upon us being in a non-Muslim country, we don't have the resources of what they have in order to what? To establish the month of Ramadan, and that's the reason why you'll find that the Salafis rely on the sighting of the Saudi Arabian kingdom, because they have the expertise, they have the experience, and they know what they're doing. For here, more than likely, we'll be relying on people of deviance, and that's not our place. We'll have to be relying on the Sufis or the Ikhwanis or other people who we don't know who or what or when or how and why they even done it. And that's the reason why, like we said, none of them from the deviant sects are reliable or trustworthy with us, and that's the reason why we don't consider their sightings to be anything. Is it clear, everyone? And that's it, and then we'll stop and suffice with this. طيب, we'll continue Friday. هذا وصلى الله I gotta make wudu. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Any questions about the class? تفضل قربان. Exactly. For the most part, the Ikhwanis, what they do is, the Ikhwanis, it's a lot of principles they have. Two things you want to just summarize who the Ikhwanis are. The Ikhwanis are mujamma'. They just gather between everyone. We just want to gather everyone and put everyone in the pot, even though our ideologies and our beliefs are different in regards to, even though we say we're Muslim, but we know what the message of Allah is upon. What you believe totally is in opposition to that, but no problem. We'll still bring you close. You're from our brother. And we'll overlook that. Even though it might be shirk, it might be the most pathetic sin that you could commit, but you can overlook it. And you cannot say anything. And we know that also branches off into another type of deviance, which is closing the door of commanding the good and forbidding the evil. And we know the consequences Allah has set for those who do not command the good and forbid the evil. What Allah Ta'ala will do from them is that a punishment could envelop everyone. You understand? And that's the reason why the Jews were cursed upon the tongue of Jesus, the son of Mary, and Dawood, because they used to commit evil and they never used to prohibit each other. And the greatest of evil is what, everyone? Polytheism. You have to shut up and be quiet. Don't say nothing. So that's the reason why we call them Ikhwani. Because they gather between what? Everybody. The Muslim brotherhood that they call it. So they just gather between everybody. Everybody regardless of what you're upon. Even if it's the most disgusting thing and hate it with Allah, still you can't say anything. You're still your Muslim brother. He said, La ilaha illallah, shut up, keep it moving. As they say, al-ghaya tubarriru al-wasila tubarriru al-ghaya. Or al-ghaya tubarriru al-wasila, excuse me. That the means, or the goal, and that's a what they call Machiavellian type principle. That the means, you'll find that the Muslims utilize that, Machiavellian principle, in the Ikhwani principles. As they say, the goal, he says that it justifies the means of how we attain it. Meaning we can utilize any method, as long as we just actualize the goal. No matter whether the method was wrong, right, or going against Kitab, Sunnah, we don't care. As long as we reach the goal, no matter how we no matter what method we used. That's what they call Machiavellian principle. That some Muslims have incorporated in their ideologies. Right? طيب. So those are the Ikhwan al-Muslimin. So that's the first thing of their principle, number one. Number two is, you'll find that they are heavily involved in politics. Non-Muslim politics, rather. Usually in most cases. They're very heavily involved in non-Muslim politics. They don't care. Non-Muslim politics, democracy, you name it, they're involved in it. And we know that's also something that is not from the Sunnah of Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam to be involved, especially in democracy and things that are clear, kufr and disbelief in polytheism. Because democracy is polytheism. How's democracy polytheism? Because the belief of democracy is that it's power to the people. Power to the people. Meaning the people legislate, not Allah. So regardless of whether or not you're a polytheist, if you're an atheist, if you're a hypocrite, if you're ignorant, or you believe Allah is everywhere, or you believe Allah is Buddha, it doesn't matter. The power is to the people. So basically a liar can be involved, a sun worshiper can be involved, a Buddhist can be involved. That's why you'll find a legislative house, there's all members that have different belief systems. And these people who legislate laws for people, that's the reason why if you go with Kitab al-Tawheed, there's a whole chapter on it. The only one who legislates is who? Allah Ta'ala. No more, no less. That's the reason why we said the most evil and wicked danger of democracy is shirk, is polytheism, because you're giving the power of legislation to the people, which is a type of major polytheism. Not only is it major polytheism, but it is a major polytheism in regards to now. The chapter that we're going to cover, Kitab al-Tawheed, says that major polytheism is for those people who follow those who legislated. That they committed major shirk for those who were pleased. They were pleased with the ruler with the rule or the legislation that a person will give or legislate. And the people, now keep in mind, these people did not legislate anything. The people, it was the common folk. They don't just legislate anything. They follow behind those who are what? Leaders. They legislate for the people. The rulers binded upon the people to practice their laws and their legislations, right? So the people who are now, who are from the common folk, in Kitab al-Tawheed, you'll find there's major polytheism for those people from the common folk who follow them in those what? Those incorrect legislations. And they were pleased with it. Those legislations that were changed, that was in opposition to what Allah sent down. Notice that in Kitab al-Tawheed, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself in the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that they fell into major polytheism based upon the hadith of Adi ibn Abi Hatim. Based upon the hadith of Adi ibn Hatim, He said, O Message of Allah, he says about the Jews and the Christians, who monks and priests, that they changed the legislations Allah sent down. He said that they took their Jews and their rabbis and their monks as what? Lords besides Allah. And Jesus the Son of Mary, right? So he says, Adi ibn Hatim said, we didn't used to worship them because he thought that that polytheism is just based upon prostrating and praying to someone other than Allah. No, the Message of Allah taught them that polytheism is also in what? Legislation. He says, didn't they used to legislate? They used to make halal what Allah made haram, and they made it halal? He said, yes. Then they used to make unlawful what Allah made. Then they used to make unlawful what Allah made lawful. You made it unlawful? He said, yes. You followed them in that? You found it pleased? That was worshiping them. That was worshiping them. For now, people, democracy. Democracy now, they say, and they say it even in their own articles. If you was just to read what it says about democracies, it call themselves legislated members of Congress. They legislate laws. They make laws and legislations for the people. Notice in Kitab al-Tawheed, it said, what everyone? That Prophet ﷺ has said that was merely polytheism by the people being pleased with it and following them in it. Meaning, what type of legislation? For example, instead of what Allah sent down, of course, that the zani get lashed, no, he's in jail, or, or matter of fact, it's not even a punishment for it at all. As we know here in this country, having a boyfriend and girlfriend and fornicating it's nothing. That's the law. I mean, hey, you do what you want. We don't care, right? So those type of legislation has been legislated. Now, in the Kitab al-Tawheed, the people follow them in that, meaning the rulers that actually put down the legislations. You're pleased with that legislation? You follow them in that legislation? Then notice that's major polytheism. You're pleased with it? You followed it? You're pleased with it. Notice I talked about the i'tiqad, your belief. You're pleased with it. You followed them in it. The Prophet ﷺ said that was what? Tilka ibadatuhum. That's worshiping them. Now that's not the point. So that in itself is major what? Shirk. So democracy in itself is what? Has major polytheism in it. Because we said that the legislators are not made for Allah. It's made for who? The people. The people. That doesn't stop here. That's not the point why I'm mentioning this. If you see that that's the point, that's the punishment for those who followed them in that. From the common folk. The Message of Allah described that as being what? Major polytheism. What would you think the level of the sin of those who legislated it would be? I'll say it again. If the Message of Allah said that the common folk who follow them in those laws, those legislations, are pleased with it, of course. And we're not talking about the laws of certain legislations that's going to get you into trouble as far as marrying young girls, because we don't. Here in this country, of course, you cannot do that. So nobody's condoning that at all. And certain people have come to me in the masjid, and I say this to everyone who's listening online and those to the FBI and everyone. We do not condone those young marriages here. We do not do it here. If you come to me, I'm going to reject you. I want to marry a 13-year-old girl. Akhi, you and young with that. We don't do that here. We're not saying anything is wrong with it Islamically as far as the general hukum. But as far as the laws in the land, that will get you in a major world of trouble. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Fine. So I just wanted to get that off, get that clear the air out. But at any rate, as far as The general laws, of course, that especially the laws that oppose with Allah and His Messenger, close the laws and the Messenger, those who now follow those rulers in that, you follow the rulers in that, they fall into major polytheism, right? What about the ones who sit in Congress amongst the non-Muslims and legislate laws that you know go against the laws and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated? Don't you think that is the most dangerous of affairs? That's the reason why when the Muslims go, they ramp this rave, oh, we got a Muslim woman in Congress, and I'm just like, hey, do you study? This clearly shows people do not study Kitab al-Tawheed at all. You wouldn't even be happy. You'd be like, oh, that's dangerous for her. I feel sorry for her. Firstly, from the non-Muslims that's going to give her all the pressure, and secondly, with Allah, what she's probably falling into of making legislations that clearly go against the religion. I feel sorry for her. But you hear the Muslims happy, oh, we got a Muslim in the Congress, ha ha. I'm like, puh. You study Kitab al-Tawheed yet? I would be scared to be in her place. Were you going to come with some legislations that you know clearly that goes against the religion, and you meet a law on the day of resurrection with that? Ooh. I feel sorry for you. I don't know. They murdered her? She was murdered. Wow. Are you sure? I thought it was a woman. That may be by somebody else. Huh? No, I think it's another one. There's another Muslim. I think she's Somalian or Ethiopian. No, she was Somali, I think, or Sudani, something like that. Of course. Absolutely. That's the reason why I said if they're pleased with it, that the people from the common folk, that's why I made it clear. If they're pleased with it. That's the reason why I said if they're what? Pleased with it. If they're pleased with it. If they're not pleased with it and they're forced to do it, that's something different. When the Messenger of Allah warned them, he said that they followed them, meaning their rulers in that, meaning their rabbis and monks, when they changed the legislations of Allah, they were pleased with it. So in their belief system, in their heart, what they were doing, they were what? They agreed with it. They were in agreement. Now, talking about the people who have to now be in that land and then they're specifically, they detest it. Like, I don't want to do this. But they force it upon us. That's not what we're speaking about. We're talking about people who are pleased with what they're doing. But it does not take them out the fact, as far as the people who are in, now let's switch it. Go to the legislative members and the non-Muslim laws. You're sitting in their laws and you're legislating. Just because now you're legislating laws and you might not be in agreement with it does not remove that you're what? That you're a major sinner. Rather, that's the most hideous of sins you could. Not saying that he's not Muslim as a result of it, but it still doesn't remove you out of the what? The fact that you are a major sinner, which is also dangerous. So that's what I'm saying. You're sitting in the house of a democracy in Congress amongst the non-Muslims, and you're sharing with them in legislations that oppose the religion. So whether or not if you're pleased with it, that now nullify your Islam. If you're not pleased with it, it still does not remove you that you're committing a major act of sin. So that's what I'm saying. Those two circumstances you never want to meet a law upon. I would never want to meet a law to be with the Allah. And I know I legislated some laws that quote when it gets Kitab al-Sunnah. That's what I'm saying. A person of Sunnah and Tawheed wouldn't even take the risk. I said, listen, I'm staying away from that, from those politics, and I know the risk involved in what will be detrimental to my religion. And the hereafter, when I meet Allah and Allah brings on the day of resurrection, which is you legislated a law that opposed what I sent down. What would you say to your Lord? And be thrown into hell as a result of it. That's what I'm saying. A person doesn't even take the risk. Khalas. Let the non-Muslims do what they do. I'm not getting involved in the politics, especially non-Muslim politics. It's dangerous. Last thing, because we got to pray. It's almost 9:30. Of course. J. Ahsant. That's another reason why the Ikhwanis, they try to point their own Amir. Because they don't want to take their affairs back to so-called people that's above them. Like they say that we don't just, especially the non-African Americans here, that's Ikhwanis. They like to say we don't like to take our affairs back to the Arabs. So let's point our own Amir, and we will what? And that person will allow us to be the ruler, the leader for us, so he will take everything back to him. Exactly. They do the exact same thing here. We'll stop here. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Go make wudu, Sheikh.